The position of an ADC is indeed an enviable position in virtually all countries of the world. Most presidents have ADCs, so also are state governors. The ADC is mostly a well-trained security expert, drawn either from the military or from the police or from any other security outfit. When people are appointed ADCs, they become the envy of their classmates and even of their seniors. But just as the position of an ADC is an enviable position, it is also one of the most dangerous positions to occupy. An ADC is a close bodyguard to the VIP, and in the event of danger, he is expected to walk through the fire to save his boss. In most instances, they are followed by bullets which were meant for their bosses. This was the fate that befell Lieutenant Colonel Bello, Babangida's ADC, who died in the course of engaging in combat to save the life of his boss and also save his administration when Major Gideon Orkar and his men staged a violent coup to remove military president Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida from office. In this edition of Back in History, we bring to you the story of an ADC who literally took the bullet for his boss. Welcome to this edition of Back in History. Babangida was Nigeria's military head of state from 1985 to 1993. One of the soldiers that served him as ADC was a military officer by name Lieutenant Colonel Bello. At that time, Nigeria's seat of power was in Lagos, and the presidential lodge was in Dodan Barracks, also in Lagos. Babangida was known for working in his office for several hours into the night and crossing into the morning hours. He was a workaholic who did not want to see untreated files on his table. His aides knew his work pattern and had to zero their minds and remain in the office of the president with him, and also stay in the connected offices for several hours with the president until the president closes from work. The aides lived not far away from the residence of the president, in case the president needed their attention at any time. One of the aides that lived close to the residence of the president was his ADC, Lieutenant Colonel Bello. On the fateful day of April 22nd, 1990, Dodan Barracks was attacked by coup plotters. Their mission was to remove Babangida from office and take over the reins of power from him. They struck at about 1:40 or 1:45 a.m. Nigerian time. The center of attack was the residence of the president. The residence came under intensive shelling. Babangida and his family were in the said residence. The intention of the coup plotters was to eliminate Babangida and the shelling. Babangida's ADC, Bello, who was already asleep in his residence in the opposite direction, woke up from sleep and made his way miraculously into the presidential residence, which was under heavy shelling at the time. In that process, he successfully evacuated Babangida and his family from the building and took them out of the barracks for safety across the fence. This in itself was a miracle too difficult to describe. It was audacious and very risky. But Bello gallantly braved the odds and saved the life of Babangida and the lives of members of his family. Having secured the safety of the first family, Bello returned to the barracks. His mission this time was to engage the coup plotters, chase them away, and secure the seat of power for the return of his boss. At the time of his return, the coup was in full gear. Everywhere was charged. Bello did not know that his return to the barracks would mark the end of his life. Bello was of the armored corps of the Nigerian army. So also was his boss Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida. Bello was a well-trained armored tank operator. Bello found his way to one of the armored tanks located very close to the presidential residence and entered the armored tank prepared to engage the coup plotters. Bello began to press the buttons in the tank, but unknown to him, the firing pins of the armored tank had been removed by the maintenance engineer who last serviced the tank. The said engineer did so on purpose, as he was later identified as one of the coup plotters. While Bello was in the armored tank, he was sighted by the coup plotters who got closer and shot him at point-blank range. Bello died instantly inside the armored tank. This is a story of how Lieutenant Colonel UK Bello, Babangida's ADC, literally took the bullet for his master. By his gallantry, he saved lives, and in the end, the seat of power was also served for his boss. But sadly, UK Bello had lost his life and was no more to be found in the midst of mortals. UK Bello was gone and gone forever, amidst tears from those that knew him and from loved ones. The remaining part of the battle for the soul of Dodan Barracks was continued by Lieutenant General Sani Abacha. Abacha woke up from sleep, changed to combat gear, and personally led an assault against the coup plotters with the help of some loyal soldiers mobilized by Abacha to repel the coup plotters. In the end, Radio Nigeria was reclaimed, and Gideon Orkar was captured and its national broadcast terminated. Normalcy was restored and Babangida was brought back to power from his hiding. This marked the dramatic end of Gideon Orkar's coup. The coup plotters were arrested and detained to face trials in military court-martial. The next line of action was to make preparations for the burial of UK Bello. The body of UK Bello was flown from Lagos to Niger State, where he was buried in his ancestral home at Paiko village in Niger State with full military honors. He was buried close to the grave of his father, Sakin Mohamadu Bello, who was the village head of Paiko. The burial was attended by the top brass in the military at the time, namely Lieutenant General Sani Abacha, who was the Chief of Staff and Chairman Joint Chiefs of Staff, Air Vice Marshal Nureni Yusuf, who was the Chief of Air Staff, Rear Admiral Motala Nyako, who was the Chief of Naval Staff, Major General Ike Nwachukwu, who was the GOC-1 Mechanized Division, Lieutenant Colonel Lawan Gwadabe, who was the Military Governor of Niger State. Federal ministers, members of state excos, traditional chiefs, and many others were also in attendance at the funeral. Bello commanded tremendous respect from all ranks, and the president had a lot of confidence in him. His interment marked the end of the earthly sojourn of Lieutenant Colonel UK Bello, who was brought down in a most brutal manner in his bid to save the administration of his boss. Lieutenant Colonel UK Bello started his officer cadet training with the 9th Regular Combatant Corps in January 1971 at the Nigerian Defense Academy, Kaduna. He was commissioned in the rank of 2nd Lieutenant in June 1973 and posted to the Riz Regiment. He attended several courses in the Nigerian Army School of Infantry and some armored officers courses in Britain and the United States. He is sorely missed by family members, friends and associates from across Nigeria and abroad. Thanks for watching this edition of Back in History, and do remember to subscribe to the channel or follow the page for regular notification on every new video.